Hey there, I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. Folks, I'm sorry for a little delay tonight or a little glitch at the start. Not sure what happened, but as I was trying to get the stream started, it was going out partially. I was getting error messages flashing up all over the place. So the easiest thing to do was just end it, set it back up again, and try to relaunch. So sorry about the little hesitation in the restart there. Hope everybody catches up with us as we come on in. I'm going to give a couple of minutes here in the beginning to let folks catch up and see that we are actually going live tonight. And it is, yes, a live show. We are live. It is Thursday, January 11th, 2024. And we're going to be doing a couple of incident reviews. And I picked these for a reason, and we'll see what the reason is. There's sort of a couple things that tie all these fiascos together in a way. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope nobody got flooded out by the storms or washed away by the storms or blown away by the storms or frozen by the storms. We've had quite interesting weather over the U.S. the last few days. I know here we spent most of the day yesterday, Tuesday. It was pretty much raining outside. The front yard was a lake. The backyard was a lake. We were having a wonderful time. But overall, not too bad. So that was a good thing, so to speak, for us. Beyond that, we've had a pretty good week here. It's been a busy week, working on a lot of projects, working on several topics we're going to be trying to bring you over the next few months. Got a few things coming up. Tomorrow night, just to let you all know, in case you're curious, I'm probably going to be doing a live Quora stream tomorrow night. It'll be a Rumble exclusive, of course. Tonight, we're on both YouTube and Rumble. At least that's what the goal was. But we're going to be doing a Quora stream tomorrow night, reacting to some more idiotic stuff. I may get a little snarky, and there's a good possibility that maybe a couple of adult beverages might be involved. I can get a little bit more animated when I have a couple of adult beverages involved. Let's just say it's amazing some of the things that can be done with an agave plant. That being said, once again, welcome all into the Gun Club. I see we've got about 4 or 5 coming in watching on Rumble. I will tell you, I think, not sure, but I think the channel may be getting suppressed a little bit on YouTube. Our views on YouTube have dropped off dramatically in the last couple of weeks, basically since right before Christmas or right around Christmas time. When I did those 2 Rumble exclusive streams, I may have ticked off the powers that be over at YouTube. If I did, I'm sorry. Y'all don't want that Quora content on there anyway. But when I do it, I'm going to do the Quora stuff and the humor stuff private over on Rumble. It'll most likely, if I do it, be late tomorrow evening. Got a few things to do around the office tomorrow. Also, definitely planning on going and getting some recoil therapy in tomorrow, as definitely will need that. Having fun playing with a couple of pistols, the Palmetto State Armory, both the Rock and the Dagger Compact. They've been real interesting to get some recoil therapy in with. Also working on finishing up the review on the Rock. Hopefully maybe get that one in the next week or so. Beyond that, like I said, possible Quora stream tomorrow night. Getting a little bit snarky, a little bit smart-assy, and laughing at some stupid stuff. We're going to probably need a palate cleanser after this one. Alrighty, we're up to about 8-10 watching on the Rumble stream. We're going to start digging in. Now, these 3 incidents, I'm going to warn you, there's no nice way to talk about some of these. It is bad stuff. It is tragic. It is awful. It is crappy. On the other side of that coin, I will just tell you this. It happens. It's in the real world. And that's, unfortunately, I often say that those people who are overly protected from the real world almost end up a little bit naive to what's going on in the real world, and thusly may not be prepared in case they have an encounter with the real world. And we do have some real world adventures that went on in some of these. The first one came across my radar back right around Christmas time, Christmas Day, the day after. I saw this and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I deep dive into it and I started reading more and more about it and the reviews of it. If you do look, the Pinellas County Sheriff did about a 25-minute press conference on this, and he called it out and he said a lot of things. I've got some quotes in here from him from that press conference. I think there's a lot we can learn from it. This incident occurred on Christmas Eve. It was a Christmas Eve argument between two brothers. The argument began at the store. The mother, her 3 children, ages 23, 15, and 14, are at the store shopping for Christmas gifts. They've also got the 2 grandkids with them, 6-year-old and an 11-month-old. They are the children of the 23-year-old, the daughter. Now, apparently, the 15-year-old became upset that he felt that the 14-year-old was getting too much stuff. And a little friction started between the 14 and 15-year-old brothers. Imagine that. You got 2 boys about a year apart. This is normal. This is, friction between the 2 brothers. That we can see that happens in every family. They then drive over to the grandmother's house where the argument continues. Now, eventually, the 14-year-old whips out a .40 caliber pistol and threatens to shoot his 15-year-old brother in the head. The 15-year-old brother at the time is standing in Grandma's kitchen. Normal just ended. Normal just went right out the window. Folks, the 14-year-old whipped his .40 cal out and starts threatening to shoot his 15-year-old brother in the head in the middle of Grandma's kitchen. And the boy's uncle intervened and got the 14-year-old outside, took him out of the house, or coerced him out of the house. Now, there's so much right there to say. What in the name of is the 14-year-old doing with a pew-pew? Wrong answer. The 14-year-old had a gun. Now, they're upset that the 14-year-old is pointing his .40 cal at his 15-year-old brother. They're not that upset or shocked or even amazed that the 14-year-old is carrying. I guess apparently that's what the 14-year-old does in that family. And I'm not trying to throw rocks at the family here, but there's got to be some kind of breakdown going on in this situation. And yes, it's going to go on. It's going to get worse. Outside in the driveway, the sister, 23. Okay, a little bit older, a little bit of a voice of reason. Big sis approaches the younger boy, chastises him. Said, man, why you got to be like that? Why are you starting this? It's Christmas Eve. You don't got to be like that. Okay, I can give her some respect. The boy then threatens to shoot his sister and her 11-month-old that she's holding in a baby carrier, because that's what a 14-year-old does in Largo, Florida. I mean, this is, again, the more I read it, the more I'm just like, how the hell did this happen? And we're going to get into that. She continued to tell him, look, put the gun away. Don't be like that, blah, 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 blah. At which point, the 14-year-old shot her through the arm and into the chest. She collapses, ends up dropping the infant's carrier, at which point the 14-year-old dropped the pistol. Now, my hunch is the 14-year-old was probably waving it around, threatening to shoot her, talking a lot of smack, and the pew-pew went off. That's why we don't play with these things. That's why we don't point them at people. That's why we don't use it to just intimidate our big sister. I'll tell you, I don't know what the relationship was between little brother and big sister. I grew up, I had 3 older sisters, never wanted to wave a gun around at any of them. But folks, this is crazy. And it keeps going. So the 14-year-old, I think it goes off, and he's so scared, realizes what he's done, and he ends up dropping the pistol on the ground. And, well, the next thing you know, it gets better or worse, depending how you look at it. The 15-year-old comes exiting the house, busting out the house. He sees the sister wounded on the ground, screams, "You shot my sister," and draws his .45 and proceeds to shoot the 14-year-old brother in the front yard, in the stomach, on Christmas Eve. Now, we could talk about Festivus and the airing of the grievances, and we could talk about families putting the fun back in dysfunctional. But the 14-year-old shot the 23-year-old sister in the arm and through the chest. The 15-year-old shoots the 14-year-old brother in the gut. And then he takes off, flees the area. He throws the pistol in someone's backyard on his escape. The firearm has not yet been recovered. The 14-year-old's firearm was recovered, and the sheriff, when he gave the press conference, said they've searched the whole area, and he believes that it's probably been picked up by another child in the neighborhood, and they will get it used again in another crime, and they'll find it then. The 15-year-old made it about 4 to 5 miles away to Clearwater, where he was arrested at a family residence over the attempted murder of his brother, as well as possession of a firearm by a 15-year-old, because apparently 15-year-olds aren't supposed to go around carrying 45s, and 14-year-olds ain't supposed to be carrying 40s. Now, the fact that the sister is yelling at the younger brother for pulling his gun out on Christmas Eve, and the fact the uncle got the kid out of the house, and apparently mom and grandma were there, among the adults, and I will count the sister among this, may she rest in peace, because she did not make it. She did not survive her injuries, unfortunately. But among grandma, among mom, the uncle, and the 23-year-old sister, they're more upset that the 14-year-old's waving the gun around than the fact the 14-year-old's carrying. And apparently the 15-year-old's known to carry too. This is normal in the family. This is normal in this situation, or normal, we don't get any further from this. The end result, again, we have the 23-year-old. Unfortunately, she died of her wounds. The infant in the carrier, fortunately, was uninjured. The carrier, when he dropped, more or less protected the infant. The 14-year-old did survive his gut shot wound, and when he is released from the hospital, faces multiple charges, including they're charging him with murder one. Not sure if they're going to charge him as an adult, but the sheriff said he was pushing for it. The 15-year-old was picked up again in Clearwater, talked about self-deletion, and was taken to a mental health facility. And once he's released or cleared from there, he's going to be facing multiple charges, including attempted murder on his 14-year-old brother, minor in possession of a firearm, tampering with evidence, as well as a few other things. And the sad part of this all, we have the 6-year-old and 11-month-old infants, the two grandchildren. On Christmas Eve, they get to know that their mother was shot and killed by her own little brother. Folks, it doesn't get any sadder than this. It doesn't get any sicker than this. And I debated doing this story. But when we talk about guns and kids with guns and kids doing stupid stuff with guns, again, if you don't hear it, you don't know about it, you don't think about it. If you hadn't heard this, you would have thought, wow, we hear sometimes when someone engages with a bad guy or a prowler or a burglar, or law enforcement engages with someone. I can't believe they shot that poor boy. He was only 14 years of age. In this case, a 14-year-old was capable of taking his sister's life on Christmas Eve in his grandmother's front yard. Whether he intended to or not, I don't know. Whether it just went off or not, I don't know. But a 14-year-old little boy was capable of ending his sister's life and leaving two children without their mother. So whenever we hear about, well, why did he shoot him so many times? Because he was just a baby. He was just 14 years old. I don't want to hear it. 14-year-olds are capable of killing. They had a 13-year-old a couple of years ago, went after a cop point blank range with a pistol. Yes, he went after and tried to shoot a cop at point blank, 13 years old. So it is what it is. You see what we got. This is what it is. Interesting comment on this one. I'm on the fence as to whether the kid should be charged as an adult. The adults in this family clearly failed these kids. Well, hold that thought, sunshine, because it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It always does. Now, so yeah, the 14-year-old, 15-year-old, we don't know if they'll be charged as adults. Personally, the sheriff is pushing for it. And I think you'll see why here in a minute. How did we get there? Well, both of the boys were, quote-unquote, known in the neighborhood to carry regularly. Both of the boys had been previously charged with minor in possession of a firearm. The 14-year-old also had numerous other previous charges, including assault on a school official, assault on a law enforcement officer, auto theft, auto burglary, prowling, loitering, and a whole stack of others dating back to when he was 12. That's right. The first time that the younger boy, who was in 14 in this incident, the one who killed his sister, the first time he was arrested in possession of a firearm was 12. 12 years old, carrying a loaded gun. Now, the punishment for all of these events, criminal justice system takes things real seriously. Probation. They got juvie probation, and the sheriff who, talked about it, he said, this isn't a failure of anything but a failure of the justice system. He talks about the kids in the area who, again, this is normalcy. The boys were known by everyone in the neighborhood to carry guns regularly. When the police were going through the backyards looking for the 15-year-old's gun, they knew those two boys are always carrying. Whether they were gang related, I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. They knew, the neighbors knew not to mess with those two boys because the 14 and 15-year-old were known to carry. Yeah, I thought I'd take you over the fence on that one. This ain't a first offense. This ain't an oopsie. And the sheriff said that every time they've had a run-in with them before and taken guns off both of them before, there you go. So, I guess if we'll treat him like a juvenile and do this, he'll be 15 and he'll be out there taking someone else's life. We've got a 6-year-old and an 11-month-old who don't have a mother anymore. Happy Christmas, honey. Merry Kwanzaa, Merry Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. This is ridiculous. A 14 and a 15-year-old carrying a gun. Now, I'm as pro 2A as everybody. And when I was 21, I bought my first one up at Jeff and Dawn's on Target over on Busby View Road off Sweeten Creek. Just saying. But, really? This is, we didn't get here accidentally. Tell me no one saw this coming. And the thing is, it's like the sheriff said. These kids, it's a revolving door, it's a revolving door, it's a revolving door until all of a sudden someone doesn't go home and sister ends up in the morgue. At least it's only one person. Hey, the death of a 23-year-old mother of two, but it's considered minor in this situation. That's sad. Per the sheriff, he said it's not a gun problem. It is a justice system problem. Now, here's where it becomes our problem, and I will say it's our problem. They had received, or the sheriff had received at his agency, 17 reports of guns stolen out of cars in the previous 30 days. 17 reports over the last month. So we'll do some basic math. Can anybody in the chat tell me what 17 times 12 is? 17 times 12. Come on, give me a little math here. I'm a paramedic. I don't do math. I'm allergic to it. But anyway. Yes, I agree with you. The legal system is heavily at fault. The kid has lived in a land of no consequences. Okay, according to Miss Many in the chat, 17 times 12 runs us to 84. Okay, 84. If he's getting 17 stolen guns out of a car in 1 month, I think it's safe to say 84 or so in a year. Now, how does this happen? Well, he's saying it's the worst he's ever seen it with kids on the street with guns. Okay. Oh, she says, no, it's not 84. It's 204. I thought that was better. I was kind of wondering there because I was like, I know 10 times 10 is 100. And so, I'm mathing here the best I can. But, I think you gave me about 12 times 7. But okay. So, 204. So let's say 200 guns a year in just Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, not in the cities, not in the metro areas, just in the jurisdiction served by PCSO. 200 plus guns a year stolen out of cars. Who has a problem with that? Who's at fault here? Yes, I know. It's the criminal's fault for stealing it. If you own a pistol, let's not leave it in our cars. What do you say? I get that. And I will say that occasionally I will be guilty if I've got to go into a business where I can't. Say, if I have to go into the post office or something, I may park on the street for 5 minutes and leave something locked up in my glove box. On the other side of that coin, however, do I leave guns sitting out in my car overnight? No. Do I leave, all this stuff? No. As a matter of fact, I came back from teaching extensive class and I had a pile of guns with me. And I got home and I sat down, I had dinner. And before I went to bed that night, I was like, I've got to get the guns out of the car. I'm not leaving them out there. And I'll tell you, I've got multiple cameras on my driveway, both from the back shed and from the building. So, yeah, I don't leave pistols laying out in my car. How did this 14 and 15-year-old kid have it? Now the gun from the 14-year-old was recovered. It is not showing stolen. They're trying to do a little bit more research on it right now. Chances are it was not bought legally. They're probably going to have to go through the ATF to try to track the history of it and everything else. It may have been stolen from another state, another area. The 15-year-old's gun is still on the street, most likely picked up by someone else, like he said. We'll get that 45. It'll be used on someone else in the neighborhood within the year. He's pretty sure of it. There you are, folks. Now, he also goes to that we need to get serious. We need to get these kids off the street. We need to send a message. And, you got to make an example sometime. And I agree that, the kid's going to do whatever he wants. And the legal system is, at fault because we've not given the kid consequences. But on the other side of the coin, we've talked about some of these kids who have gotten consequences that, even adults who have gotten consequences and the system's not doing it. Me personally, I think from about 12 or 13 and up, anything involving a loaded firearm, shooting at someone, shooting someone, or anything else, I think you charge that as an adult. Because, that bullet doesn't care whether a 12-year-old or an 18-year-old pull the trigger. It's going to take you out the same. Just saying. Maybe at least get these kids to think twice and say, if I hold someone up with this knife, I get charged as a juvie. If I hold someone up with this gun, I get big boy time. Maybe I don't use that gun. Maybe just a little bit. Oh, if I get caught with a stolen gun, that's bad news. Because let's go on a little bit. It gets better. It always does. Now, this one, right up the road in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been to Pinellas, Florida. Let's see if we can tack one to Georgia. We're going to follow the yellow brick road right up the road here. Down to beautiful scenic Hotlanta, GA, the ATL. If you're not familiar, the ATL is a really interesting place. The ATL, a woman was shot over a dispute at a local McDonald's. A verbal dispute between two females in the lobby of McDonald's off Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard Southwest led to a woman being shot. Now, bystanders in the store were able to wrestle the suspect and hold her down until police arrived. The victim, however, was in her 30s. I've seen 2 or 3 different ages on the different articles I've referenced, but she's a mother of 4. They've all said that consistently. A mother of 4 in her 30s died at Grady Memorial Hospital. So here we have a woman in her 30s, 32, 35, late 30s. Okay. Mother of 4. 4 little kids ain't got a mama. We got 2 kids in the last one who ain't got a mama. We got 4 more who ain't got a mama. Now, the shooter, 19-year-old female, is being charged with murder and, of course, a little bit of aggravated assault and receiving stolen property. Receiving stolen property? What was stolen? Oh, yeah. What was she using that was stolen? Possessing of a firearm during the commission of a felony. So now, here's our 3rd stolen firearm, and we've got 6 kids with no mothers. You're seeing a track record here. The firearm was determined to have been stolen a few months earlier, from a parking garage in Atlanta. They do not know whether the mother could have been involved in the actual stealing of it, but it was stolen out of a vehicle. Gee, you're seeing a pattern here about leaving guns in cars and parking garages and stuff in them places and everything else. Folks, I'll tell you, when I go to the hockey games at night, I know I can't carry in the arena. If that's the only place I'm going, I leave it here in the safe. because I can't carry my pew pew in the arena and I don't want to risk it getting stolen out of my car. You know, a lot of this comes into both of these have resulted in a call for better gun control. But yet, the 14-year-old, the 15-year-old, and the 19-year-old didn't get their guns through any lawful means. They didn't get their guns there was no gun show loophole at play. There was no FFL at play. They didn't go through a background check. We don't need better red flag mental health laws. I mean, you look at all the things that the great politicians tell us are going to fix this. We've got these three people, all too young to have a firearm, all out playing with firearms. Imagine that. And I come back to the formula because, it sort of runs through all these. Not all guns and gun owners are created equal. The vast majority of the firearm owners are responsible, law-abiding citizens like you, like me, like, Mel over here in the chat who's assisting me with special ed math. But on the other side of that coin, the problematics are with largely two groups: underage and individuals with prior violent convictions. But we also know those individuals are not the ones buying them legally. And I bring this up because if they shut off all legal gun sales tomorrow, these individuals would still be getting them, still be stealing them, still be carrying them, and still be using them. Gun control laws, no matter how many we have in Florida or Georgia, they trampled all over both of them. Now, the 19-year-old young lady who took the life of the mother of four, she is going to be charged with murder, I believe, and as well as a bunch of other stuff. But again, it's a stolen gun. We know they can't buy them. Don't let your gun become theirs. Be smart. Don't leave guns, especially, in cars. And I say this, and I'm going to even come back with another whole reason. Forget any of this goes on. Forget the fact that your firearm may be used to end the life of a mother of 2 or 4 or 6 or whatever. How about this? 3 o'clock in the morning, you hear someone outside breaking into your car. You go outside to see what's going on. Well, if your gun was in the console, you may catch a round out of your own pistol. Gee, you are giving the person who breaks into your car a killing machine. And it's right at your house. You wouldn't want to run into them with that kind of bad, getting your own gun lifted out of your car and then get shot by it. You lose style points for that one. Definitely. Folks, let's be smart. We try to prevent accidents as with firearms. We always try to end up for zero. In the fire service, when I was real active in the fire department, we always said we will never end all fire department injuries and deaths and line of duty deaths, but we're going to get them as close to zero as we can. Let's go through 2024 trying to get these, guns stolen, getting used in crimes as close to zero as we can. They'll always happen. There's always going to be some. But let's not have it as much as it is, because this is a common thread, unfortunately. Now, the last one I want to talk about, let's talk about Perry, Iowa. Now, Perry, Iowa broke off last Thursday, and honestly, this is a preliminary report on it. We don't know everything. We know that the student entered the school with weapons and a homemade IED. Yes, everyone's talking about how we need gun control, common sense gun control. The kid made a bomb also, but no one's talked about that. The student had posted videos on TikTok and pictures on TikTok from a bathroom prior to the shooting. He was actually in one of them, had music playing, which was from one of the web pages of one of the kids involved in Columbine. Tell me these kids don't plan this and waiting periods are going to help. The individual involved is 17, by the way, so I'm guessing he also did not buy his firearms from an FFL dealer, didn't buy through channels. I guess red flag laws don't help when your 17-year-olds are carrying guns. He entered the cafeteria where the middle and high school students, apparently the school is sort of joined at the center and shares a lot of resources, where the middle school's on one side, high school's on the other, and the cafeteria and stuff's in the middle. They're having breakfast, and he opens fire. The end, we have an 11-year-old child killed tragically, 4 other children injured, as well as 2 staff members injured. I'm not going to go into the details on the staff members, with the exception of the principal. He actually did stand up and tried to go toward the shooter. He went toward the shooter to try to de-escalate, control whatever the situation, and they say as a result of that, it helped several children escape the line of fire because the principal ended up getting shot instead of them. One of the assistant principals also went into the area, into the line of fire, and was able to drag a wounded child, to carry a wounded child to safety. So I've got to give these school staff and administrators very big thumbs up. They did right to protect the kids in their care, not like we saw back in Rich Neck, Virginia. We won't talk about that tonight. Don't get me started. Maybe I'll do that a little bit tomorrow night if I'm drinking heavily enough. I'll talk about Rich Neck, Virginia. But these students, these staff members, all, as innocent could be, don't deserve any of this crap. It is what it is. It stinks. But fortunately, only one child was killed. And when I say only one child, we're going to keep things in perspective. But, the 4 injured, a bunch, I'm sure, emotionally traumatized, 2 staff members injured, although they are supposed to make it. So that's always good. Now, our shooter, like I said, 17. He can't buy a gun. Somebody had to help him. He went into the school. He was described as a quiet person, but he was bullied a lot. The students reported that his younger sister had also been getting bullied recently, and they think that may have done something. Of course, now they're trying to blame the victims. Well, the school didn't do enough for the bullying. I'm sorry, I don't care how much you're bullied. We don't shoot up schools. Okay, come on, man. Let's get our head out of our asses. Now, he went into the school. He was armed with a pump-action shotgun, most likely a 12 gauge, although I don't know. They did not specify. Still, again, very preliminary. And a small caliber handgun. They say a small caliber is like a 22 that you'd use for self-defense. Okay, I'm just reporting what the media says. If you would not use a 22 for self-defense, I don't know what caliber it is. Small caliber handgun, like a 22 that's used for basic self-defense. Really? Okay. Now note here, again, we've gone through 3 shootings. What are we not seeing? I'm not seeing pistol braces, force reset triggers. I'm not seeing any ghost guns. I'm not seeing any AR-15s. I'm not seeing anything that would ever be considered a assault weapon. It is what it is. Now, what happened with this? Apparently the kids, the family is a decent family. Dad works as a manager at the local airport. He used to be a town public works manager. Never had any inkling any of this was going on. Never saw any warning signs or anything. Yet the kid had posted all over social media multiple pictures with firearms. There is also a question, and again, preliminary. I'll follow up on it. I'll let you know when I find out definitively. Okay. As to whether or not this was reported, there are some open questions. Was there more to this than just the bullying? Was there more to this? Had he been physically assaulted, violently assaulted, something else at the school? What was it? Was it just the bullying of him and then his little sister and that, just did it? Maybe. Okay. There's a question as to whether or not it was reported to law enforcement. Supposedly he had made some sketchy comments. Of course, we know his social media is all blanked out. We also know there was a lot of stuff on his social media prior to it being blanked out. Believe a heads up to Andy No, hat tip over there. He found a lot of stuff on his social media. If you check out Andy No, he's a pretty good follower on Twitter. He does a lot of the deep dives on this too. He's more on the ground full-time reporting than what I'm doing here. Had he contacted or communicated this plan with anybody? And lastly, of course, how the hell did he get the guns? Oh, by the way, Mom drove him to school that morning. Mom drove him to school that morning. Mom and Dad still together. Mom drove him and little sister to school that morning. Gun was disassembled in a duffel bag. He went in the bathroom, put it together, filmed some TikToks, and went go Rambo in the cafeteria. Folks, it is what it is. Now, I love over here, we see Mel in the chat tonight. You've got to love Miss Minnie in the chat. She's always over there. If you haven't ever had a chance to check out her Facebook site, check it out. She makes absolutely beautiful cups over at Southern Sisters Crafty Creations. She's also one of our wonderful supporters in the chat. And although this isn't exactly a picture of her here, this is sort of her personification, her ego. Yes, that's right. She'd rather be at Disney. Although, well, it is what it is. But yeah, she says, as far as would you use a 22 on an intruder, only if you just want to piss them off. Very true. Very true. There are better calibers and better, more effective things. Just put a 3 on the end of it. The 223, I could deal with that. But we look at these 3 incidents, and again, the first 2 we know stolen guns out of cars, lawful, decent, legal gun owner, not paying attention, not securing a sidearm. I'm not saying, I'm not going to 1 second fault them for someone being killed, but I will say they could have taken a step to help prevent it. Don't let your guns become their guns. Be smart. Lock them up. I'm going to probably be doing a section on different storage and firearms securing options. There's a lot of great ones out there. Going to try to do some demos on some different things, because you know what? That's on us. That's on us as the 2A community. I'm willing to take that. No, we didn't support the shooting in schools, but we did, by not keeping up with our stuff well enough, potentially help this happen a little bit. And so I'll call that. I'll wear that one, and I'll take the shot for that. We need to do better. It's that simple. Are we ever going to get to 0 guns stolen out of cars? No, we're not. But you know what? Let's do as many as we can. I like my pistols. I like my long guns. I don't want them getting gone out of cars. I'm not going to leave them in there, especially not overnight. Was about to ask if I have recommendations for safes, locks, and etc. Honestly, I'm going to do a special on safe storage. Nowadays, any pistol you buy comes with at least a little cable lock with it. That is at least a starter. Whether or not that would work in a car or not, I don't know. A lot of times, if you had something like that, granted, if they've got decent heavy-duty tools, they're going to be able to get through that. Maybe in the car, a metal lock or safe or something would be better. But, again, I'm sure none of these had taken many steps whatsoever. I've seen different locks, different car safes, different things you can do. It's the same thing, If you want to mount an AR on the wall up over your fireplace, that's great. I like it. That's my kind of home decor. I'll feel really warm and fuzzy about that. But I'm hoping that it's at least secured somehow to that mount, so it doesn't just come out and become something that's readily usable. And again, remember, the anti-gunners, the gun grabbers, all these people use these stolen guns, and they're going to try to push for storage restrictions, and their storage restrictions will render most of your firearms virtually useless for home defense if they get the storage requirements they want. So it is what it is. Again, it doesn't have to be the biggest, baddest gun safe in the world. You don't need to have a whole, room for firearms. I know one individual who, well, if I ever had his money, I'd have a rather large room too. He built a metal, fully contained room, stores all of his toys in there. It's secure. He's got locks on the door. Life is wonderful. Do what will work for you in your circumstances. Folks, if there's something we can do to help or give you some advice on that, please, by all means, feel free to reach out to us. Now, a couple other things I want to mention real quickly. First off, If anyone in the group is an EMT, AEMT, or paramedic and needs any continuing education before the first of the year, or excuse me, before the research season on March 31st, we do have the Gun Club code discount up for VALOR Medical Academy. Check us out over there. We are fully CAPCE accredited for online continuing education. Also, beyond that, if you need other classes, check us out. We do an extensive list of stuff. Folks, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this show wasn't too much of a downer. Like I said, I debated doing that whole Christmas Eve situation in Florida. And quite frankly, the more I thought about it, the more I said, you know what? If nothing else, it makes a point. And especially because of the fact that allowed me to turn to exactly what that sheriff said. And the more I could sit there and go through what the sheriff said was, that was a powerful part for me. More so than anything else, was sitting there listening to this. The problem isn't the gun problem, it's a justice system problem. Amen, Sheriff. He had received 17 reports of guns stolen from cars in 30 days. Amen. Worst problem he's ever seen. He's never had it this bad. The proliferation of guns on the streets and guns in the area in the hands of these kids. We need to get serious, send a message, get tough, and these kids need to get locked up. So it is what it is. Yeah. Seeing over here in the chat, Mel is stopped by this evening, and my papa had shotguns and rifles hung on racks in the living room for my entire life. Little kids running everywhere. No one touched them. We knew better. Okay. And it may be, that simple. I will say, and again, one thing that we've seen in the past in another lifetime in my previous career field, a couple career fields ago, we used to tell people that these beautiful homemade or wooden cabinets with everything all on display and, a picture of a deer on the front glass and everything else, that, it had a little key lock on it with a light wood frame door and like glass on the front, that if the glass wasn't, shatter resistant, if the glass could be taken out in less than 3 minutes, forget locking the door with the key, because at least that way you won't come home to broken glass. That's why gun safes don't have glass on the front of them. But folks, please, especially the pistols in cars, we're seeing them pop up all over the place. And this sheriff, he called it out. If you want to go watch the press conference, I'll tell you, it's powerful. And you could tell he's halfway between, he's sad. He's just dealt with this mother of two who's died. He's going through the whole thing, but it's her own brother that killed her. And it's a 14 and 15-year-old running around with guns. And it's sort of between sad and pissed the more I watch it, quite frankly. And, that's pretty much where I'm at. It's sad for it to happen. And, but on the other side of the coin, we've got to learn from it. As much as it hurts us to talk about it and think about it, we got to learn from this shit. Because we've got 6 kids without mothers over 3 stolen guns. And that's a bad thing. But, folks, y'all have a wonderful night. If you join me for the live show tomorrow evening, late night, like I said, it will be Rumble exclusive. We're going to go over some of the Quor's greatest hits, which, as you know, can be kind of amusing because I think Quor is kind of funny. And it gives me a chance to be a little bit of a snarky jackass sometimes. So, bye.